Hello, I'm Robert T. Smith, host of Support Your Local Podcast. I want to take a moment to remind you to hit that fast forward button. That is, unless you want to hear about something good being done. Anyone who knows me knows that I love bowling. In 2016, I founded the Smith Family Bowling Scholarship Foundation, intended to honor my father's hard work and dedication to community service and award scholarships to youth bowlers throughout the nation. To date, we've awarded well over $15,000 in scholarships. If you are a bowler, know a bowler, have ever seen a bowler, or heard about anyone who has ever seen a video of a bowler, I'd love for you to help promote the SFBSF and its mission. Please go to sfbsf.com and see what we're all about. While you're there, please consider hitting that donate button and helping us make a brighter future for our youth. Again, that's sfbsf.com. Thank you for your time.
I now declare the quick draw competition open.
Howdy, everyone. Pull up a chair, kick up your boots, and have a nice sip on a nice cold whiskey. It is Quick in the Pod from the Support Your Local Podcast Network, the show where we take a look at Sam Raimi's Quick and the Dead, one chapter at a time. I'm your host, Robert T. Smith, coming to you from beautiful Tombstone. Yep, that one. Today we are taking a look at Chapter 9, Preacher's Story. But before we do that, I don't mean to alarm you, but we have a shadowy figure looming outside the saloon doors. Who is it that's coming in here? Do I hear Maverick?
Well, how's it going?
Want to welcome Brian Boucher from Top Gun Minute. We are glad to have you here. Welcome back. You are our returning guest.
Yeah, I'm back. I come back because, I like the Old West. I like Westerns. I love this movie. It's got a great cast, as we talked about way back in, Chapter 2. So,
Yeah,
I had to come back.
Well, we are definitely glad to have you. Yeah, we are definitely glad to have you. And yes, if you are in love with Westerns, this is the podcast to choose, but also definitely the movie to choose. So you get a nice little update from maybe what we were used to in season 1 with our 1960s, 1970s stuff. It's a little bit more modern, but
yeah.
Before we jump into Chapter 9, Preacher's Story, as you all know, we like to take a moment to kind of do a deep dive on one of our cast or crew, give an idea of where they were at in the world when this movie came out, but also kind of highlight their career in a segment that I like to call Put My Damn Name on the Board.
Put my damn name up.
And today we are going to take a look at one Mr. Russell Crowe. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him or what he's done since then, but let's take a look at his IMDb and his Wikipedia and see where he's at.
He's a newbie, right?
He's a new guy? He's from Australia or New Zealand or something, so I don't know if he did a lot of American stuff. This may be a stretch, but we'll fill in the gaps.
Okay.
Born April 7th, 1964. He started out in right around 1990-93, primarily in some non-U.S. films. He actually made his American debut as a big film for this movie in 1995 with the Quick and the Dead.
See, he was new.
He was relatively new. He's a fresh face. He's not Leo fresh face, but he's still a fresh face. Nice little touch. Brian, I know we were kind of talking off air. You had some quick little tidbits about Russell Crowe in The Quick and the Dead and how he kind of got into it.
Yeah, I mean, he auditioned for it, and the studio didn't like it, but Sharon Stone wanted him. So it's because apparently he's a really good kisser. So
I've
mean,
heard rumors.
That's a good incentive, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's all it takes to be, for an audition, yeah, you should totally go for it. But
I'm just saying, there's worse things in this world than being wanted by Sharon Stone.
Exactly. Why do you think I watched this movie in the first place?
Just saying.
Just saying. Yeah. Yeah, I saw Basic Instinct a few years before that, so yes.
Yeah, she was on a bit of. We'll get into it when we do her chapter with her, but she was on a bit of a roll for those types of movies, and I like you. I think was waiting,
Yes.
just kind of waiting for that Sharon Stone moment in the movie. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
But yes, definitely. So as he mentioned, after the movie wrapped up, Sharon Stone kind of made the statement that of all the people she's had love scenes with, which spoiler alert, Russell Crowe was the best. And again, if you're talking about Sharon Stone, that's a decent list of people that she's had in movies. I mean, you're talking Sly, you're talking Arnie, you're talking Michael Douglas. I mean, she's been with some leading men, and to kind of be top dog, that's something to brag about.
Yes.
But anyways, enough about Sharon Stone's life. We'll leave her be for now. The same year that the Quick and the Dead came out, he was also in Virtuosity with Denzel Washington. So those that don't know, it's the sci-fi thriller where he is a killer program, essentially, going around killing cops and taking over. That was actually the first time that I saw him as an actor. I got to see that when I was a kid, and he does very well playing crazy. He can be a little off kilter.
Yes, definitely.
Something he doesn't do as often maybe as he should. He's starting to get a little bit back into it with some of his current like superhero movie type stuff, but I kind of miss that fresh face Russell Crowe acting a little off kilter.
Yeah.
But yeah, so 1997 he gets into LA Confidential, in 99 The Insider, and 2000 Gladiator. And that's notable because those three movies, he got 3 consecutive Academy Award nominations. And he actually won for Gladiator, which, you know, I say I knew him from Virtuosity, but now that I'm looking back, I probably saw Virtuosity a little bit later than that, because Gladiator's where that's Russell Crowe. Like, I may not have known Russell Crowe as Russell Crowe in Virtuosity, but I definitely know Russell Crowe from Gladiator as Maximus.
Right.
And that's really where he kind of got into the mainstream for me. Like, you know, LA Confidential, The Insider, those maybe were a little bit more adult for me than what I would have been during that time frame. But leads up from Gladiator into 2001, A Beautiful Mind, 2003, Master and Commander, 2005, Cinderella Man, 2007, American Gangster, and 310 to Yuma. So with the exception of 310 to Yuma, like those 6 movies in a row, LA Confidential, Insider, Gladiator, Beautiful Mind, Master and Commander, Cinderella Man, and American Gangster, like that's a pretty darn good Oscars run for anybody, but to have those 6 consecutive.
Yeah. Yeah. He definitely had some good work.
Yes. I mean, they recognize the talent, and he definitely went the prestige route. But me personally, out of that group, obviously, you know, Gladiator is probably my favorite movie of his. 310 to Yuma, if you've not seen it, is an excellent Western movie. It is a remake of a classic, but it's him and Christian Bale. And being from Yuma now that I'm out here in Arizona, Yuma is just a couple hours that way. I can actually see where that was shot and where that took place and where it was set in. But yeah, if you're looking for modern Westerns, if you like The Quick and the Dead, 310 to Yuma, you could do worse than to follow up with that.
Right.
2008, he goes into Body of Lies. And then this starts kind of, you know, for every person that we talk about that has these really great runs of movies. So like when we spoke on Top Gun Minute, we talked about Tom Cruise's different decades or phases. All of them start to hit that little bit of a snag in the prestige side. So 2010, he had Robin Hood, 2012, Les Miserables, 2014, Noah. For whatever reason, even with the great directors, I mean, you have some Ridley Scott stuff in here. It just didn't click. What do you think it was? I mean, were we going through Russell Crowe fatigue or what? I mean, he's still a great actor even in these movies.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I'm not really sure what happened between, you know, 2005 to 2015, where it just kind of fell off a little bit. For some of our actors and actresses that were really popular in the late 90s or early 2000s, except for Leo. Leo seemed to just keep going.
Yeah, there's those guys that kind of transcend that. It's weird.
Mhm.
But we did get to start back up with the fun Russell Crowe, and I not to body shame, but I like to call the heavy Russell Crowe. I like him better this way. He looks jolly.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
But
and sometimes creepy.
And sometimes a little bit creepy. Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of 2017, playing Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde in the Mummy remake with
Tom Cruise.
Mr. Tom Cruise. How could it go wrong?
Right.
The start of the dark universe that never, the dark universal multiverse that never got off.
Right.
2022, so just this past year, he was Zeus in Thor, God of Love and Thunder, and played it well. Played it, I dare say, much better than Liam Neeson in the Clash of the Titans films. I'll take Russell Crowe's Zeus over that any day. And then nice little fun fact. I did not realize this until I did the IMDb deep dive on him. 2023, they're currently filming Kraven the Hunter with him in it.
Okay.
So for you Spider-Man fans out there, Kraven the Hunter is going to be probably the pivotal point on whether we continue with Venom movies or not. But
is Sam Raimi going to be behind this one?
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, so much backlash with the Multiverse of Madness, which I will be the first to go on record I loved. I think it was about as good a mix of a Marvel movie and Sam Raimi as you could probably get. I love the horror elements of it. I wish he would do more, but I don't know. I think they may have soured him on that. But you're talking off air. You have a little bit of appreciation, Sam Raimi, in regards to the superhero movies, right?
Oh yeah, the Tobey Maguire run of the Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi run of Spider-Man in the Spider-Man series. I thought those were great. I love them.
Yeah,
and my kids love them.
It's,
so
that's what's important.
yes, yes.
You gotta get the next generation. See, our generation, we had the Evil Dead series, so that was our entry point into Sam Raimi.
Definitely.
For kids of that age, they get Spider-Man to go in, and I'm hoping that Multiverse of Madness gets people back into another Raimi-sance. But yeah, so that was one Mr. Russell Crowe. Obviously, I don't need to deep dive too deep into him. You don't have to look very far to find a great movie with him involved in it, but that was Put My Name on the Board.
Add my name to the list.
And we're back. So, Brian.
Yes.
Before we get too deep into that, normally we have our guests do a segment where they get to name their gunslinger name, one that I shamelessly stole from your podcast and openly admit for that.
That is okay. I'll allow it.
I appreciate it, sir. I appreciate it. The royalty check is in the mail.
Okay, sweet.
When you were here last, you had identified that we were putting Maverick up on the board.
Yes.
So
Gotta be.
with that, we get to move into our second segment. So you are my return guest. I won't make you come up with another name, but I will embarrass you in another way. So you get to play Fuck, Marry, Kill, Quick and the Dead version.
Nice.
Yay!
Awesome.
So, given this history, given the characters, and we spoke last time of just the depth of actors and actresses that we have in this movie. The cast is ridiculous.
Right.
Of these characters, you get to choose. Which one do you fuck? Which one do you marry? And which one do you kill? Apt, since you're a gunslinger.
Huh. Do I have like three certain people I have to pick, or do I get to choose out of all of them?
The redemption is wide open, sir.
Well, obviously I'm gonna fuck Sharon Stone. So
Okay.
yeah. And let's see. Ooh, if I was gonna marry somebody, well, crap. Well, we didn't get to see him yet, but Herod's rich, so I'm gonna marry the rich guy. And then Who am I gonna kill? Huh. I'd have to say probably Eugene because he's just creepy.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's got some tendencies that I don't agree with. You know, and that we
Yeah.
that I believe you may have already discussed a little bit of that.
Yeah, there's a little bit of lecherous stuff going on. We'll dig in a little bit deeper as the story goes on. I don't know that thread is fully pulled yet, but yeah, I can't blame you on that one. And Marion Herod, that's a sound strategy. I mean, spoiler for people that have married Herod in the past, it may not be the best outcome, but
Right.
if you keep your nose clean and don't do what you did with Sharon Stone while you're married, you should be okay.
Yep, sounds good. I'm happy with my decision.
As long as you stand by them, we're
Yes.
good. All right. Well, if you're ready, let's jump into our chapter, man.
Okay.
We start our chapter with Ratsy. He's chaining the preacher back up to the post outside the saloon door. And he's sitting, he being the preacher, pronouns, pal.
Yes.
The preacher's sitting on the steps and he's just looking at his hands. The lady walks up and sits next to him. And she's giving him his props at being fast and hoping that she doesn't have to fight him. So obviously, we in our previous chapter, we just had the Court versus Foy showdown where he broke his promise of not drawing. Apparently, wanting to live kind of outweighed his gift with God. But
Right. I did want to point out that when he's looking at his hands, it is almost like he has an invisible Bible that he's looking at.
oh, good, yes, it is kind of opened up on that. So maybe he's memorized it. You know,
Yeah.
his Bible got burned down in or down at the oh goodness, stop, Robert. Where was he had a church down at somewhere.
I can't remember.
Anyways, so perhaps that's a good call. Maybe he had his only Bible was burned when Foy and the other guys burned down the parish, and he's just kind of going off memory, but still has the sense memory for doing it on his hands. So that's a good call there. I like that. It's weird to once again put the stereotype on its head like that by having Sharon Stone admit that she doesn't want to face court. Because the stereotype that we run into is having the two big gunslingers have a mutual respect for each other that either ends up in them facing each other or it ends up with them using that mutual respect to not want to face each other. The examples that I give are, so like Clint Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef and For a Few Dollars More. They have the showdown where they shoot each other's hats off and all that, but at the end of the day, they respect each other's talents to where they don't try to kill each other. They realize that there's not going to be a time where they're going to have to face off with each other. You have the stuff in El Dorado with John Wayne, Robert Mitchum, and the guy that plays Nelson McLeod, to where they tell each other that they're the three fastest people and that they'd hate to have to face each other, but at the end of the day, they know that there's an itch that they have to scratch, and that if they're around each other for long enough, they're going to have to shoot each other. And it's good and bad to have it in this with that stereotype of having the lady admit to court that she wouldn't want to face him. I think it might have been better off by just having her give him props on being fast. I don't know that I would necessarily have her essentially admitting that she's a lesser gunfighter. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So Russell Crowe takes that all with a grain of salt, and he tells her that he's there because he has to be. You know, obviously he got pulled in by Herod's men. He was living his life and trying to redeem himself, coincidentally outside of redemption. When he got pulled into redemption to kind of atone for his sins with Herod. But she's not. She, as far as he knows, doesn't have a reason to be there outside of the actual gunfight. And he begins to tell her his backstory, that he was not always being a preacher. And Gene Hackman comes, you see him approach the Batwing doors, behind them, and he's just sitting there sipping from drinking from a beer bottle, and he interrupts him. And I found that a bit uncharacteristic, because from what we've seen of Herod so far, like, he does drink. We saw him sipping the whiskey earlier, but it just doesn't. Herod just doesn't strike me as the type of sitting there with a beer bottle, just kind of hanging out in the saloon,
right?
Sipping with the boys,
right? Yeah, I agree. But it is very, very really characteristic of him to come in and go ahead and decide to go ahead and tell the preacher's story, instead of the preacher court telling the story. He's got to get his 2 cents in, make sure, that this is the real story. Don't believe anything he says, even though it probably is not completely all true.
Right. Exactly. They always say the true story is always somewhere in the middle. So it's interesting to figure out, between Russell Crowe's version and Gene Hackman's version, is there a third version that's actual truth, or is Russell Crowe being as honest and forthright as he's kind of portraying himself as being?
Right.
But we find out that apparently Russell Crowe used to run with Herod, and that there was a time that you couldn't even tell the two of them apart. And this, along with Sharon Stone being repulsed by Herod putting his arm around her, causes the lady to be sickened by that fact, and she gets up and leaves, telling Crowe that she should have let Herod hang him. So maybe that was the fact. Maybe Herod saw kind of a connection starting to brew between the two of them, and he wanted to make his move. As we know, moving forward, spoiler, he's a little taken. He's a little smitten by the lady, so maybe he's seen some competition. He has to kind of make sure she knows that, hey, I'm an asshole, but so is that guy I think you like. So if you're going to choose assholes, choose this one.
Right.
But yeah, so Sharon Stone, apparently, unfortunately for her, she's just not having any luck getting close with men in this town. First, the kid ends up being possibly Herod's son.
Yes.
Now she's opening up a bit to court, and he apparently used to be thick as thieves with Herod.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, do you try Pat Hingle? I mean, there's a little miscommunication about her being a whore, but
right.
In his defense, he wasn't looking. He didn't know it was her, right?
Right, that's true.
She does storm into the saloon, and we cut to Eugene dangling a necklace in front of the face of Katie, which is Pat Hingle's daughter, and he's creepily talking sweet nothings in her ear when the lady comes out of her room to see what's going on, and Eugene tells her to buzz off and that he's having a business transaction with the girl, which makes my skin crawl a little bit.
Like I said, I'd kill him.
Yeah, it's
yeah. Ugh.
He plays it too well.
Yes, very well.
Yeah.
But the lady she's not having it either. She knows what's going on, obviously, that he's trying to basically pay her for sex,
Yes.
And she's a young child. I'd say she's probably about 14, 15 too.
I think she's 14, yeah.
Like the blind shoe shiner, boot shiner guy, kid. Yeah, gross.
Yes.
And she knows it, but she's still condoning it.
Yeah.
Which is weird, but it was also, we all know that's gross and all that stuff, but it was still, this was the mid-90s when this came out. So
95, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess it's just, it's supposed to be like the late 1800s. She's still a woman. She knows it's gross, and she knows what, she knows what's going on. But, she's still a woman in that time, and, women's opinions didn't matter back then, so there wasn't really anything she could do about it.
Right. And we can file it away a little bit to it was a different time.
Right.
And it was, I read enough Westerns to know, 14 was a grown woman back then. You had 14-year-olds that were married and having kids at that point. But I don't know that even with her being of full age, how you just don't find Kevin Conway's character creepy.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
even the best. But it leads to a question that I have. So, and I'm pretty sure this isn't actually addressed in the movie, but does Pat Hingle run prostitutes? So he's the saloon owner.
Right.
And we know from various movies and history and books and all that's usually where saloon girls and prostitution came in. And we're first introduced to Pat Hingle telling Sharon Stone that the whores are next door.
Right.
His words, not mine. Don't at me.
Right.
So does he own next door?
I mean, it's possible. But the weird thing about this movie, compared to other Western movies, that there was always like a madam who was basically in charge of all the girls, and we don't see that anywhere in this movie.
A Madam Orr, if you will.
Right.
Call back to season 1, guys.
Yes.
You listen. So, which brings my next question. So is Pat Hingle the madam?
He may be.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
So keep an eye out during the movie. I I've seen this so many times. I don't know the answer to it, but I'm interested to hear everybody's theories. So definitely hit us up in the comments. Is Pat Hingle a madam?
Mm-hmm.
But so Sharon Stone tells the girl to make sure to wash wherever he touches her.
Yes.
Which again is another little skin crawling moment.
Yes.
But that is enough at least to embarrass her, and she runs off. And as you spoke to, we're still not entirely sure that she wasn't. I mean, she's giggling. She actually appears to be enjoying the attention, whether it's for a lack of knowledge of what the intention behind that attention is, or she does know. But she does seem at least into the notion of whatever it is Kevin Conway's putting down. So, and this of course pisses off Eugene, and he says that he can't wait to fill Sharon Stone full of lead, and he begins to smack his lips. And in most of my episodes, as you've heard, I have full confessions of how I misunderstood things. I always thought of it that he was just being creepier, and he was like almost licking his lips. But it wasn't until I was watching this with the subtitles on maybe a few years ago that I found out that he's going pow, 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 as in making gunshot noises. So like he's, I'm going to fill you full of lead.
Oh, yeah.
Pew, pew, pew.
Oh, yeah.
And I like that much better because it doesn't make him as creepy as he's already being. But up until that point, I truly thought he was just going, like thinking about some Sharon Stone. And
Yeah. Yeah, but, in my opinion, I'd rather him be with Sharon Stone than that little girl.
That's fair, yes. I think we can all, we will concur for that. I'm sure Pat Hingle would agree as well.
Let's hope so.
But that does end our chapter. I wonder if something's going to come between Lady and Eugene. Is this just the start of a misunderstood relationship, and after her streak of bad boyfriends, maybe Eugene's the one to go to? We'll see.
We'll see.
They have definitely seemed to have had eyes for each other since literally the beginning of the movie. I mean, he was the first guy that she laid eyes on coming into town. Well, except for the Undertaker, but we'll dismiss that.
All right.
But yeah, so I don't necessarily mean romantically. However, given her luck with men, maybe question mark. We'll see. We'll find out when we come back. But until then, Brian, where can we find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Top Gun Minute on any of your podcatchers of your choice. Just look it up and you'll find me. You probably found this one on this podcatcher, so you should try looking up Top Gun Minute. I've the whole movie is complete, so you can listen to every episode that you like. And I'm currently in the process of working on my next podcast. It's called Dude, Where's My Minutes? going over the 2000 buddy comedy. Let's just be serious. It's a dumb ass stoner comedy. Dude, where's my car?
Dude.
Sweet.
No, I'm definitely looking forward to that. And as he said, if you haven't already, definitely check out Top Gun Minute. You get to hear Brian's soothing dulcet tones throughout the entirety of that movie. And someday, hopefully we can pin him down. He'll definitely be hitting up Top Gun Maverick as well.
Yes, eventually. Eventually.
Mm-hmm. But until then, I thank you all. Want to appreciate you for your time. And as always, remember, support your local podcast. And this episode is brought to you by Dye Real Estate and Land Company. They are the real estate agents based in Northwest Ohio that are the go-to company for people who enjoy the rural lifestyle and are looking to buy and sell some property. The whole team is amazing. I've used them in the past. I'm partial to Jaylene myself for obvious reasons, but they're all there for you whenever you need them. If you're in the market, just drop them a line at info@dyerealestate.com. That's info@dyerealestate.com. And don't forget to tell them Support Your Local Podcast sent you.